Thank you, Mr. Chair. My first question is for Dr. Hine from VIMS. Thank you again for being here. So barrier islands obviously serve a critical role in protecting inland communities. Can you speak to some of the benefits of leaving this land undeveloped, and would the barrier islands be as effective were they to be built up for commercial or recreational use?
Thank you, Congresswoman. In short, no. There's a large difference between a built barrier island and one that's allowed to do as it wants. I gave the example before, the Virginia Eastern Shore, where these islands are moving at tens of feet per year in some cases. That generally happens during large storms. Well, if you have a house that's built on the island, or you have one that's behind the island, that island wants to move underneath it. And the house doesn't move, at least not without a lot of time and effort and money. And so what happened is that house ends up on the front side. That house also then stops that process of the island naturally adjusting to the storms that occur, to changes in the rate of sea level rise. And so it slows the entire natural process down quite a bit and makes the whole island system less resilient. And what we could do is, you can nourish beaches, you could harden the shoreline. But eventually, as sea level rises, those storms want to move those barriers landward. They're moving up a slope. That's what they do. That's how they've survived for 7,000 years. You stop that from happening, the barrier's just going to drown from both sides. And that's the risk to many of our developed barriers around the country and world.
Thank you. And I read in your testimony that barrier islands on the eastern shore of Virginia are moving more than 20 feet toward land per year due to storm surges and erosion. So folks on the eastern shore are already concerned with shoreline movement or sea level rise impacting their homes, businesses, and families. How does the movement of the barrier islands impact their effectiveness and what they should be doing? And what should we be thinking about as a 10, 20, or 30-year plan for science-based adaptive management of our barrier islands?
Well, to start, I think that it's important to think about barrier islands or these coastal systems as two parts. There are two different shorelines that are moving. Mr. Stiles spoke very nicely of the wetlands side, where on the upland side, marshes and wetlands want to move up into, on the eastern shore, it's largely farmland, but some communities as well. On the other side of it, you have the open ocean piece, which is the barrier island migrating. Over time, yes, the barriers are moving so quickly that you are shrinking the back barrier lagoon. It'll be hundreds of years before those islands get anywhere near the mainland. That's good. They should be moving. The closer they are to the mainland, the more they can protect their marshes. They take the brunt of those storms and they move with it. They take a hit, they step back, and then naturally rebuild their elevations. The challenge is on the other side, where we stop those marshes from moving upland. So you have one side that's not moving, the other side, the island's moving ever closer. And that shrinks the whole ecosystem, reduces its services and anything from storing carbon to providing habitat for commercial fisheries. And that's where I think the real challenge is here looking forward for the eastern shores, the flooding of the upland, allowing that to happen, while letting the barriers do much what they do, which is take the brunt of storms, regenerate, and keep trucking on. I'll also note, though, that one of the challenges there, of course, is accelerated sea level rise. These processes are inevitable. Yes, climate change is, of course, happening, sea levels, of course, rising. But beyond that, even if it were to stop tomorrow, miraculously, these islands are going to continue to move. They haven't quite caught up to the rate of sea level rise today. So let them.
Mr. Stiles, we've heard a lot today about proposed coastal hazard pilot program. My concern with that is that the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service has not fully remapped its existing system. So would it not be better for the service to fully grasp the needs of the existing system first before starting a new endeavor aimed at possibly expanding this system inland?
I think that some multitasking would be useful. It's going to take a while to figure out what to do. It's taken Virginia a long time under the leadership of former Natural and Historic Resources Secretary Strickler. It's taken Virginia a long time to figure out how to approach this. We're still working it out. Those statutes that were passed, we're still trying to figure out how they're actually going to be implemented. I think you could do both. You could continue the mapping, but it's going to be a long conversation about how we're going to deal with the system in the future.
Thank you very much. I'm out of time. I yield back.